Kenshi 2 is the highly anticipated sequel to the beloved sandbox game known as Kenshi 1. Technically it's just called Kenshi, but I'm gonna call it Kenshi 1 in this video just to avoid confusion. Chris Hunt is the man who started the game studio Lo-Fi Games, and he has had great success with his first game release, as Kenshi 1 has gone on to sell over 1 million copies on Steam. It's garnered a massive fan base and community around the game, as well as it basically kickstarted his studio. The development of Kenshi 1 involved just him, his sister, and whoever he could find for a reasonable price, to now over 20 employees all working on Kenshi 2. But this leaves the question, should you wait for Kenshi 2 if you haven't played Kenshi 1 yet? And the short answer is no. I don't think you should wait until the second game comes out. I think most people should play the first game if they're interested in the second game, but that's what I'm making this video for. I'm going to be talking about it in depth. The main reason I think I get this comment or question a lot on my videos is due to Kenshi 2 not having a release date. So a lot of people aren't sure. Is it coming out in a few months? Is it coming out in a few years? And with the game being made with a new engine, it leaves people to wonder, is Kenshi 1 outdated, or is it even worth playing since Kenshi 2 will come out eventually? Well, Kenshi 2 was announced a few years ago, and it hasn't been in development for too long. I won't go deep into the details as I have an entire timeline video about Kenshi 2 news, but the important thing I've learned from following the Kenshi 2 news for over 3 years now is that we don't know when this game is going to release. We've only really gotten slight glimpses into the second game, which I would guess is due to them wanting to keep some things a surprise or secret until release. We've seen some character models and talks of new mechanics, but in order for Kenshi 2 to not wind up being Kenshi 2077, I believe the game will take at least a couple more years to develop. I could be wrong, of course, but we'll have to see. Now, why should you play Kenshi 1 then? Well, the appeal of Kenshi really only exists currently through Kenshi 1. There isn't a book or a game, there's really only Kenshi 1 as well as the content created by the community. Now, this game took Chris Hunt over 12 years to make and truly is a beautiful piece within gaming. There's plenty of things wrong with the game, but there's also so many things right with the game, from the sandbox RTS style to the numerous other similarities to beloved systems in other games. Kenshi is one of those games that you find and it has a little bit of everything that you'd want. If anything, it can even have more. That's why we're hoping Kenshi 2 has even more mechanics or fleshed out systems. Kenshi 1 also hits a very special place for a lot of the players who played through the game. I mean, you really can't find another game like Kenshi. Like, let's take RimWorld. It's a game in a similar kind of genre, but it's very different. It's a really good game. I enjoyed the game, but its gameplay style has been easily replicated amongst other games and can even be found before RimWorld's release in other games as well. When you take a look at Kenshi 1, there's like nothing you can compare it to. Maybe like Sims, Mountain Blade, possibly an X-rated movie or something. Like, there's so many different things you could combine Kenshi 2 into. Kenshi 1 also doesn't offer any quests or true goals. Instead, it forces a player to explore and figure out how the world works on their own. This makes the game a truly rewarding experience when you don't end up dying due to little things like some goats attacking you. This also allows each playthrough to be very unique with different characters and scenarios. I mean, your playthrough is definitely going to be a lot different from your buddy's playthrough. And that just makes it a very fun game to discuss online, as every player has done different but similar things, and even with nearly 1,000 hours into the game, I've still just barely touched the surface and can often find new things in the game without even trying. Now, if you wait for Kenshi 2, you're kind of not going to get the point, I feel like, of the whole game. A majority of the game's lore and world will be built using the first game as heavy inspiration. And there's also possibilities of characters you learn about in Kenshi 1 who might be popping up in Kenshi 2. By skipping out on Kenshi 1, you're likely not going to appreciate Kenshi 2 as well as you might as if you play the game right now and get on a hype train. By skipping out on playing Kenshi 1, you'll likely not appreciate Kenshi 2 as much as you would, seeing as you don't really have an idea of how the game feels to play yourself. At very least, if you end up playing Kenshi 1, you know what to kind of expect and you have a very basic foundation that's kind of reasonable. The second game should include like a majority of the mechanics and gameplay style of the first game, but elaborate on it. At least if you play Kenshi 1, you'll have an understanding of the game and likely won't come up with too many ideas or way the second game should be made, which might end up letting you down. And if you play Kenshi 1, you're still going to have a lot of fun and enjoy this game. And when the second game game comes out, I don't know if it's going to completely replace the first game. So you'll either get Kenshi 1 and you'll really enjoy the game, or maybe you get it and you don't enjoy it and you just hope for better things in Kenshi 2. But I feel like the former of those options is what's going to happen to most players. And of course, I try not to set expectations too high for the second game. But either way, the first game is a lot cheaper than what the second game is going to release at. I don't know the price of what they're going to drop Kenshi 2 at, but seeing as they have over a couple dozen people working on the game, I won't doubt it might release even at a AAA value. Like I said, that's not confirmed. I think I would probably pay $60 or 80 Canadian for Kenshi 2. But there's still always going to be that huge world to discover in Kenshi 1. And if you give a game on sale, you end up getting it for like under 15 bucks. So look for it when it's on sale. If you're teetering on the edge, trust, it'll be the best 15 bucks you've ever spent. Now, the development of Kenshi 2 seems promising. While we don't have any new updates about the game recently, that leads a lot of curiosity and speculation to run the table. But based off of what we've seen so far, I believe that they have a majority of a shell for the game done, such as the map, maybe some locations and characters, but right now it seems like they're implementing mechanics, towns, NPCs, and all of that stuff. They also confirmed that they were starting the localization stage and translating the game, which is a very good sign. Other games usually do this a couple years before release, and they've put out applications for playtesters, so the ball does seem to be rolling. We're likely either going to have to wait for a big announcement or info drop from, say, Steam or maybe a game convention. I'm not certain at the moment how Lo-Fi Games will go about dropping big news on Kenshi 2, but I feel like it would definitely be a wasted opportunity to not show this game off at a major gaming event, or at least have a lot of marketing pushing it. And Kenshi 2 is supposed to be a sequel. Now let's take a look at some other sequels in gaming. You know, like, I've never talked about this game on the channel, but Psychonauts. This game is sweet, man. I love it. This is a gamer's game. Now, the first game was really good, but it took them 10 years to make Psychonauts 2, and you know what happened? It came out to be a great game. It's regarded as one of the best sequels of all time because they took a lot of time and effort to make the game. Now let's take a look at a modern game such as like Sims 4. Wow, it's a great game. It released 5 years after The Sims 3 was made, and since then, for over 10 years, you know, it's probably going to go on to 15 years. They've been pumping the game full of DLC to the point where if you haven't kept up with the DLC, even on sale, you're going to have to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just to get all the game's content. There's a lot of Paradox games that are like this, and it really sucks. Could you imagine if this was 20 years ago? They would have had to put that into the game on the CD, and you would have had to unlock the new stuff by actually playing the game. You would be rewarded for playing the game with new gameplay mechanics and new stuff to do. Now all you gotta do is work in real life and then buy it out. If they really wanted to, they could turn Kenshi 2 into a free-to-play game where you buy all the different weapons and different armor and races and stuff like that through DLC packs. But Okran forbid this happens. Imagine if they put characters like Beat behind a DLC paywall. So as dystopian as a reality Kenshi 2 might be, you gotta remember, we also live in a dystopian reality, so let's just hope that they take the time to actually make this game. If they rush it or push it out early, it's just gonna lead to DLC packs, broken bugs, all of that stuff, you know, nothing that we want. So if you're on the fence on waiting for Kenshi 2, I say just buy Kenshi and play it. Pick it up when it goes on sale if you're really on the fence about it, and figure out if you even like the game or not. As well, the second game might be on a new engine, it's likely going to play very similarly and draw lots of inspiration from the first game. But I want to know what you guys think. I've seen this comment on a lot of my videos, so I wanted to make a video giving my thoughts, but everybody has a different opinion. You know, I'm just a cool kid crocodile that's making videos. I'm not a scientist or something. So do you think Kenshi 2 is going to take a couple years, or do you think it's going to take longer to make? And what kind of game are you hoping it'll turn out to be? If you enjoyed this video, subscribing to my channel always helps me out a bunch, and if you want to support me an extra mile, check out my Patreon for exclusive posts and community benefits. Also, feel free to check out my channel for more Kenshi and Kenshi 2 content, as well as content on other games I'm into. As always, I want to thank everybody for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.